All right, so today we're kind of going on a treasure hunt. We're on the lookout for a really serious ethical framework, but we're not heading to a university or digging through some dusty old philosophy book. No, we're going somewhere you would absolutely never expect to find one. So, where do big ideas even come from? You probably picture a sterile lab, a philosopher's quiet study, maybe some high-tech think tank. And yeah, sure, a lot of them do. But every once in a while, a truly big idea just pops up out in the wild, chaotic, and most unexpected places. And our journey today starts right here at a blog called luchaclick.com. The homepage says it's a base for mutual aid, anti-fascism, counterculture, activism, news, truth, peace, love, gaming, and more. Phew, yeah, that's a lot to take in. And the content on there? Oh, it's every bit as eclectic as that description sounds. You start scrolling, and you'll find posts with titles just like this one, kind of floating these conspiracy-style questions about well-known people and major websites. You go a few posts down, and bam, there's a link to a goth music video. And that's all mixed in with hip-hop tracks, some really intense rustling commentary, and a bunch of political rants. It has a very specific vibe, you know? Definitely counterculture. Just look at the tag cloud from the blog. It gives you this perfect snapshot of the beautiful chaos that's going on. You've got Lucha Underground sitting right next to Antifa, Goth Boy Clique next to WWE, and Black Lives Matter right there with truth and peace. It really makes you wonder, what's the common thread here? What on earth could possibly be holding all this together? Well, here's the thing. If you keep on digging, buried right there between a music video and some political meme, you find something else entirely. Something that seems completely, totally out of place. This, a fully thought-out philosophical text, it's tucked away in his blog post, and look at this incredibly ambitious title, A Complete Ethical Framework for Our Modern World. Talk about a perfect example of a huge idea coming from a place you'd never, ever think to look. So let's break this thing down, because this post doesn't just throw out a bunch of opinions. It actually builds an entire system from the ground up. And it all starts with what the author calls a foundational axiom. So everything rests on this two-part idea. First part, minimize involuntary suffering. And the author's really smart about this. They specify involuntary. So we're not talking about necessary struggles like working out or processing grief. This is about pointless, destructive, imposed harm. Then there's the other side of the coin. Maximize the potential for conscious experience to flourish. So this isn't just about playing defense, avoiding the bad stuff. It's about proactively creating the conditions for good things, for joy, creativity, knowledge. It's like having both a moral shield and a moral sword. Okay, so from that one single axiom, the author spins out 4 interlocking principles, and these act as a guide for how to actually put that foundation into practice in the real world. And here they are. You've got empathetic realism, informational integrity, scalable responsibility, and epistemic humility. Together, these things are basically a toolkit for thinking ethically. So let's take a look at each one. The whole framework kicks off with empathetic realism, and this is just fascinating. The argument is that our natural gut-level empathy, it's a biased and pretty limited resource. We're just hardwired to care more about people who are like us, our own tribe. So the actual moral act isn't just feeling compassion. It's using your brain to rationally and actively extend your concern to others, especially those you wouldn't normally think about. It basically treats compassion like an intellectual discipline. Building right on top of that is informational integrity. Hey, remember that truth tag from the blog? Well, this principle makes it a core moral duty. The argument is simple. Since all our decisions rely on good information, polluting the well with lies and misinformation is a direct way to cause harm. It's saying that today, right now, when reality itself feels like it's up for debate, having a shared set of facts is the absolute bedrock for solving any problem. Next up, scalable responsibility. And this one connects directly to that focus on activism we saw all over the blog. It says your moral duty isn't some one-size-fits-all thing. It actually scales with your power. So yeah, A regular person has a responsibility, but a billionaire, a government, they have a vastly greater obligation to tackle huge problems like climate change or poverty. Power isn't just a privilege here, it's a moral burden. And finally, we get to epistemic humility. And this might be the most important piece of the whole puzzle. It's kind of like a meta principle, a rule about all the other rules. It says this entire system has to be treated like a living document, something that's always open to change as we learn more. Being absolutely certain that your moral code is perfect, that's not a virtue, it's a vice. This is the system's built-in anti-dogma clause, and it's what ensures it can actually evolve. So, okay, you've got the core axiom and the 4 principles. But how do you actually, use this stuff? Well, the source suggests it's not a checklist. It's more like a toolkit for thinking, especially when you're facing a tough dilemma.
And this is where it all becomes a super practical guide. It boils down into 4 really powerful questions you can ask yourself. The empathy question. Who are all the people, all the beings affected here, especially the ones I'm not thinking about? The information question. What are the real vetted facts? The responsibility question. Given my unique power and position, what is my specific duty to act? And finally, the humility question. Am I actually open to the possibility that I'm wrong about this? It's a cognitive toolkit for navigating our messy world.
And this really gets to the heart of the whole philosophy. The goal here isn't to arrive at some perfect final answer that's set in stone. As the author puts it, the ideal is the process itself. It's a commitment to thinking rigorously, honestly, and with enough humility to know that you might have to change your mind tomorrow. Which leaves us with this final thought. It kind of makes you wonder, right? We started this whole explainer by looking at this chaotic blog full of wrestling news and goth music, and we ended up with this incredibly deep, sophisticated ethical system. It makes you ask, what if the next great ideas aren't coming from all the usual places? What if they're being built right now, in the messy, vibrant, and most unexpected corners of our shared world?